confirmed number of coronavirus cases in Los Angeles County comes to 236,986. The confirmed number of deaths reaches 5,701. Here in Torrance, the total number of confirmed cases is 1,271, with total confirmed deaths remaining at 64. Now, we anticipate those numbers to increase as the county updates its last 24-hour operating period. Welcome to COVID-19 Today. I'm Leslie Robbins. It's 2 p.m. on Friday, August 28th. New guidelines were just released a few hours ago at California Governor Gavin Newsom's weekly noon press conference. New strategies were announced that modifies how counties will be able to reopen various sectors again. The adjusted framework is designed to provide more stringent guidance to ensure Californians stay healthy and safe. The new rules create a 4-tier color-coded system that counties will move through based on their number of cases and percentage of positive tests. It will rely on 2 metrics to determine which tier a county is in: case rates and percentage of positivity rates. The 4-tier colors include purple, which is labeled widespread, red, which is substantial, orange is moderate, and yellow considered minimal. Of the 4 colors, purple designates a higher risk level with more than 8% positivity rate versus yellow, which has less than 2%. Now, this replaces the state's monitoring list. Of the 58 counties currently, there are 38 in the purple, 9 counties in the red, 8 in the orange, and 3 in the yellow. The new measures require a 21-day mandatory wait time between moving from tiers to ensure the trend continues downward, and metrics must be met for at least 2 weeks. Counties will only be allowed to move 1 tier at a time, and this will get assessed weekly. Governor Newsom says this creates a more stringent and steady criteria, hoping to mitigate future spread and spikes in cases. If counties fail to meet current tier metrics for 2 weeks straight, they will be moved back. There will also be additional health equity commitments to ensure the vulnerable population gets tested and has access. New bilingual ads were also launched today to remind families of the dangers of spreading COVID-19 in social gatherings. New partnerships formed with platforms like Yelp, Facebook, and OpenTable were announced to keep businesses accountable, sharing health protocols and safety measures in place at certain establishments. The state's updated website launched today also offers several new features. You can check it out at covid19.ca.gov. Now, since Newsom ordered closures of bars, indoor religious services, gyms, hair and nail salons in California about a month ago, the state has seen a significant decrease in the number of COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations. Well, with the anticipated flu season ahead of us, California Governor Gavin Newsom also announced the state plans to double its COVID-19 testing capacity. This would include building out a new laboratory with a full supply chain to provide reliable COVID-19 testing with guaranteed results within 1 to 2 days. Since the pandemic, the state has administered more than 10 million tests, averaging about 100,000 tests per day, with each test costing upwards of $200 and the turnaround time averaging about 7 days for test results. But thanks to a new partnership with Massachusetts-based company PerkinElmer, this will give Californians the ability to test up to 250,000 people per day, with each test costing under $50. Now, with the flu season approaching, Newsom says the demand for flu and COVID-19 testing will continue to rise and will require a different approach, which he says the federal government needed to have enabled from the beginning of the pandemic. This helps to measure progress. Today's updated numbers are 5,329 as of the 27th, 5,503 cases over a 7-day average. Hospitalization is down 18% in the past 2 weeks, 19% decrease in intensive care unit admission. Newsom also says the improved testing will be critical for rolling out new guidelines for California schools and businesses to reopen. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration issued an emergency use authorization for another COVID-19 test from pharmaceutical giant Abbott, this one promising results in just 15 minutes. The Illinois-based company, which has a facility in California, made the announcement this week that its Binax Now COVID-19 AG card, used for detection of active COVID-19 infections, received the authorization needed to move forward. The portable $5 test, that's about the size of a credit card, requires no equipment for processing and is ideal for healthcare providers doing frequent mass testing. The test is conducted using a nasal swab and is similar to a pregnancy test. An additional line appears on the card when it detects the COVID-19 virus. Abbott says the test can be performed by doctors, nurses, medical assistants, and technicians, pharmacists, and health specialists with minimal training and a patient prescription. The test is designed to be used on people suspected of COVID-19 within the first 7 days of experiencing symptoms. Well, the number of jobs lost due to the health pandemic continues to rise as new unemployment benefit applications tops 1 million in the last week. The latest data from the U.S. Department of Labor brings the job loss claims to more than 58 million in the U.S. since March. The latest report found that Hawaii is currently suffering the worst unemployment rate in the nation, with an unemployment rate of 19.8%. The U.S. territory of Puerto Rico, Nevada, and California followed closely behind with 16.1%, and New York rounding out the top five with 15.4%. In the week ending on August 22nd, California filed 209,500 initial claims for job loss benefits, an increase from more than 190,000 the week prior. United Airlines announced grim news recently as company officials announced up to 2,800 pilots could be furloughed come this fall unless they receive more federal funding. United's figure is more than Delta, which announced plans to furlough close to 1,900 pilots, as well as American Airlines, which plans to lay off close to 1,600 employees. Furlough notices are expected to be mailed in the next few days, with cuts beginning to take effect between October and November this year. The airlines and their labor unions are lobbying for another $25 billion to help the industry cover payroll costs for 6 more months through next March. Earlier this year, Washington set aside billions in grants and loans for passenger airlines, including $25 billion to keep workers paid through next month. But with travel continuing to remain at historic lows, the industry is hoping they'll get help once again. United, Delta, American, and Southwest have said to have lost $10 billion between them just in the second quarter. Health officials say temperature checks alone may not be reliable, but instead should be one of the many measures used in your COVID-19 toolbox to prevent the spread of the virus. The nation's top infectious disease specialist, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says there are better ways to screen, especially on hot summer days when temperature checks may not be reliable. Authorities say for all businesses and schools and places where the risk of transmission could be high, to be sure to use other measures like screening questions, asking if the person has come in contact with someone who was diagnosed with COVID. While a fever may be one of the most common symptoms of COVID-19, studies have found a large percentage of carriers of the virus are asymptomatic, who show no signs of being ill. Officials from Johns Hopkins University say fever screening should be one part of a wider system. People should continue to take preventative measures like social distancing, wearing face masks, and practicing good hygiene. A popular poultry processing plant was forced to shut down in Northern California. Merced County public health officials ordered a Foster Farms plant to close as 358 employees tested positive for coronavirus and 8 workers have died as a result. Well, officials say the true spread of COVID-19 in the Foster Farms Livingston facility remains unknown, but the closure of this plant is the only way to get the outbreak under control. Merced County, which is located north of Fresno and about 40 miles south of Modesto, has seen one of the biggest spikes in COVID-19 cases. The community's large agricultural and food processing jobs have created situations where many are working in close settings, creating a hotspot for the virus. County officials say the outbreak started back in late June, with several trips by authorities made to the facility. At least 2 formal orders were sent to the company, making recommendations for widespread testing of all permanent, volunteer, and temporary employees who share air within the facility. Now, OSHA, the state's workplace safety regulator, opened an investigation into the conditions at the poultry plant in July, and it's still ongoing. California State Attorney General Xavier Becerra said in a statement that he supports the closure, saying, "We need to do a better job of protecting the essential workers who are putting the food on our tables during this pandemic." As Labor Day weekend approaches in just a week, Angelenos are urged to avoid gathering and end-of-summer festivities, as many typically celebrate this holiday. As next weekend commemorates the unofficial end of summer, Los Angeles County public health officials are cautioning residents to avoid beaches, avoid crowds, and avoid another potential surge in coronavirus cases. California may call on civil servants to help staff polling centers for the upcoming November election. According to the California Emergency Services Act, any person employed by a county, city, state agency, or public district in California are considered a public employee, as well as a disaster service worker, and could be called into work in emergency situations. Well, with nearly 16,000 people needed to work the polling center on election night, Los Angeles County decided to invoke emergency powers to tap into the thousands of employees that could take the place of the traditional seasonal volunteers, who are typically in the older age demographic. Now, LA County is not alone, as election officials across the country say they are finding it difficult to recruit volunteers due to the pandemic. And due to the shortage, this will be the first time ever that the county is turning to the Disaster Service Workers program. Polling centers will have safety protocols in place, with voting booths 6 feet apart and sanitation measures in place to clean tablets after each use. Health officials say the risk of going to a polling center is no higher than actually going to a grocery store. According to Los Angeles County Registrar Recorder's Office, nearly 800 polling centers will be in place come Election Day. Well, riding on the county's metro make it even more attractive, as officials work on a plan to potentially make it free to all passengers. It's called the Fairless System Initiative, and the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority announced it will create a task force starting Tuesday to explore ways to eliminate fares for all riders on the agency's buses and trains. Metro CEO Philip Washington said free transit will help essential workers, mom and dads, students, seniors, and riders with disabilities, and this could change the life trajectory of millions of people and families in LA County. Operation FSI and the task force plans to deliver a plan with possible funding scenarios and sources to the Metro CEO and ultimately to the board of directors for consideration by the end of 2020. This would be a historic first, as no other large transit system in the world has gone entirely fairless. This hopes to also increase transit ridership and take a noticeable number of cars off the road, ultimately improving air quality as well. In the 2019 fiscal year, Metro collected between $250 to $300 million in fares, but had $1.9 billion in operating costs, a recovery of about 13%. That percentage has been in decline for the past 20 years and is expected to decline even more as operating costs continue to rise. Metro officials say going fairless could be the most important initiative it has ever attempted. Well, some good news. The Los Angeles Zoo reopened this week after being closed for more than 5 months. Now, if you're hoping to make a visit to the zoo in Griffith Park this weekend, visitors should be aware of new health and safety protocols in place. There will be a limited number of visitors allowed at one time. Those face masks are required, increased sanitation procedures, modified access to exhibits, one-way paths, and social distancing measures in place. The zoo, which closed on March 13th due to the pandemic, remained closed for 166 days. Now, under the reopening rules, visitors must purchase tickets in advance online to help limit capacity, with the first reservation taken at 10 a.m. and the last reservation taken for 3 p.m. every day. Now, each day, the number of visitors will be capped at 200 per hour, with no more than 1,200 per day. Pre-COVID, the zoo would see up to 5,000 daily visitors, with up to 1.8 million visitors a year. As this is the first weekend of their reopening, it may be harder to find remaining time slots open, but officials say when you know the date you want to go, check online and book as far out as possible to have as many options for entrance times. Go to lazoo.org. The outdoor shopping experience at Lamo Fashion Center will be around for a little while longer. Lamo Fashion Center officials say it will continue today through the weekend until at least the end of September. The outdoor marketplace is open in the outdoor village from 1 to 5 p.m. Various retailers from inside the mall have set up outdoor booths to offer their products to the public. Brands include Pandora, Macy's, Uniqlo USA, Cotton On, Travis Mathew Skechers, and Kate Spade, New York, to name just a few. You can also find a number of restaurants on site offering alfresco dining, along with the mall food court and Misawa Japanese Market also open for takeout. Local health officials are urging the community to not put their health on hold during this pandemic. Torrance Memorial Medical Center shared how they are making it safe for patients to continue to see their doctors, come in for regular checkups, and receive the care they need to stay healthy and safe. According to officials at Torrance Memorial, mandatory daily screenings and temperature checks are given to every person who enters their facility. Proper personal protective equipment is supplied to all staff members to ensure safety. Strict isolation practices are in place for COVID patients to mitigate potential spread within the hospital. Physicians, nurses, and ancillary care team members have received extensive training to prevent the spread of infectious diseases and to help maintain a safe environment for patients. The hospital has also implemented a no visitor policy in any inpatient areas until further notice, with exceptions to the pediatric and NICU departments where both parents are allowed after screening. And for those anticipating the arrival of a new family member, one visitor will be allowed per patient at a time after proper screening. There have also been physical distancing measures in place throughout the hospital and physicians' offices, and TMMC continues to follow CDC protocols for cleaning and disinfecting of all patient and treatment areas in between patients. Well, if parents are looking to get one task off their plates, Torrance Unified School District is now serving up meals for the school year once again. Since March, the district has provided nearly 470,000 meals, with almost half of those served over the summer months. Well, now as the fall school year has kicked off, families struggling to manage making breakfast and lunches while getting kids and themselves ready for distance learning and work can now count on the school district to prepare meals like they did pre-COVID days. Now, there are some new rules and policies in place. While meals will continue to be distributed on Mondays and Thursdays from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m., free meals will only be offered to those who qualify. Otherwise, family will need to have paid for the meals prior to pickup. Meals can be picked up from any school site. On Mondays, 3 days worth of meals will be available, and on Thursdays, 2 days worth of meals. Weekend meals will not be included at this time. You can preview the menu online and decide whether you want to pick up meals and those can get paid through the student's Titan account. Menus can be found online. Go to TUSD.org. Well, as families kicked off the new school year with distance learning this week, we want to hear how it went for you and your kids. As families navigate through this difficult time and unique learning models, we'd love to hear tips or suggestions that you might have that other families could find helpful. Now, whether you have a preschooler or a teen in high school and every grade in between, we want to hear from you. And parents working from home, managing distance learning for your kids, and making personal and professional adjustments, share with us what seemed to work this first week of school as we're all in this together. Email us at COVID19today@torranceca.gov. Well, before we go at the end of each program, we like to share stories from our community. Feel-good pictures, images, and videos that reminds us all of how resilient our community is and how Torrance truly cares. Another local favorite restaurant is helping families as kids return back to school. During the month of September, Bettalino Kitchen is giving back to the community and launching a Kids Eat Free throughout the month. Kids under 11 can eat for free between 2 and 5:30 p.m. every day throughout the month of September. They've created a safe and beautiful outdoor dining area that's not only socially distanced, but the restaurant is also following strict safety protocols to ensure not only employees, but the public are safe. What a great way to connect with the community and show how you truly care for its residents. Now, if you have a great story to share, be sure to email us. We'd love to hear from you. And that is our update for COVID-19 today. We hope you'll join us again tomorrow at 2 p.m. as Rhiannon Trutanich brings you the latest updates. Please be safe, stay healthy, and thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.